too.
No, yeah. What is it? One had no sound.
Did you check that we have sound, Casey?
Yes, I did check.
All right.
And then the two had the echo
Yeah, that we couldn't do anything
problem.
with. Yeah.
So it's just we're getting there.
All right.
We're getting there.
Are we live?
Wait, hang on.
Oh, he's got to fade it in. Hey, welcome.
Oh, sexy faded.
This is the Daily Torch. I'm Lane. That's Casey. And tonight, James.
We've got James.
James, not just a voice on a phone.
Hey,
Yeah.
what's up?
All right, so we're going to taste some really good whiskeys. Casey's going to bitch. We're actually all smoking the same cigar.
Define really good.
I mean, all right, so Larceny Barrel Proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retails for like $59.
Okay.
Usually on secondary, it goes for like $100 to $150.
Great
Some people
price
think it's
point.
worth it, some people don't. Rare Breed is traditionally considered the best regularly available $55 whiskey on the market. And the Old Forester Single Barrel is hit and miss. It's either average or really, really good. This particular one is a barrel pick from Total Wine in Reno, and I really like it. So they're all like in the $50 to $80 range. Like they're pretty good.
Okay, I'll take that.
They're all high proof.
I'll take that
We
as
like
as
that.
good.
They should be really rich.
Yeah.
And, halfway through the cigars, we won't know what we're drinking anyways. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, because we are smoking the CAO, the
Yo.
Macanudo.
The Macanudo.
The Macanudo Brazil, which I'm pretty sure was the tester for the CAO Brazil.
You think so? Are they the same company?
Well, yeah, they're both general.
Okay.
So I think they used the Macanudo as the tester.
No, because the CAO Brazilia's been out forever.
No, the BX3,
Oh.
the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Macanudo Green Label is the tester for the BX3.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because that farm taste is in both of them for sure. But I like Brazilian cigar. I like the taste that's coming out of Brazil.
This honestly might be my favorite Mac.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely on the Macanudo side, it's up there.
Yeah. And I'm not a Mac smoker.
Yeah.
So if we're being honest, it's my favorite Mac, but it's not a high bar to clear.
No.
So
That's
what do you
fair.
consider a high proof? Everybody might have a different conversation with
Oh,
high
for the
proof.
whiskeys?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All right, so the Old Forester is like 128. The Larceny is like 124. And the Rare Breed's 114.
That's high proof.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. How's your guys' trip going so far?
So far, our trip is going amazing.
I'm still disappointed you guys didn't get to hang out at the club.
Well, we absolutely tried. Unfortunately, we had other forces pulling us out a otherwise wonderful.
Experience.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna say. Experience. We had all kind of layered experiences, of course, in that
Yeah.
experience. But
No, it's not that I'm disappointed in that, like, I take offense. It's just, it was a good show. I felt bad that you guys didn't get to be there.
absolutely,
Yeah, Trey Songz was dope, man. I was there.
oh my goodness, absolutely. The pictures looked great. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
I closed the shop early. I went down there. I was like, "Where's James and Wanda? What happened?"
Oh my goodness, we missed that part too.
I was supposed to meet you guys here.
Yeah, I was in the back with Trey. Like we were just taking shots all day.
We were there. My girl was dancing, and unfortunately, something pulled us away.
So, was that the first fall out of the booth for the year?
Wasn't I here at the beginning of the year and somebody fell out?
I feel like the one dude that we had to call the security for was like,
I don't think that was this year.
was that last year?
I haven't been hanging out in the shop at all
Okay.
the first half of this year.
The last
True,
time we were
true.
here was like April or something like that, and
I feel like that was, unless I wasn't here for it.
wasn't he here?
No, yeah, he was. Yeah, you were here. Wait,
The last time, then we were here a couple of times at the beginning, like January or
were
something.
you? Well, maybe you weren't. 'Cause
Like,
it was
we were of course here around December, but then we were here around early January sometime, maybe, give or take.
So these booths tend to be occupied by the drunkest people in the shop.
Yep.
And they're above ground, and there's a little step.
Yep.
Which means when the drunkest person in the shop gets out of the booth, sometimes they fall. Oh, we have customers. Customers. But we
No,
don't.
they're not customers. They were
They got
just
run off.
Well,
rattling
they
the
were
door
supposed to.
there.
You guys told them, hey, we're gonna close at this time. You kind of gave them plenty
mean,
of time to.
We did give them a heads up.
We close at 11 on the posted hours of the store.
Oh, we're way over.
Yeah,
That's fine.
So
I mean, it's
you
not
know,
like they didn't get a chance to get in there for all this goodness that you got in there.
that bald dude walked by at least 3 times today.
I mean, when I come to Tahoe, I come to the High Sierra. You guys get down here. You know, this is my stop. I mean, if there's a stop to make, this is the one. And it's not even a plug. This is the stop to make if you're in town.
yeah,
None of this plug content is paid. It's just
it doesn't matter.
not paid.
No, I mean, it's pretty easy when you're the only shop in town that's open 7 days a week.
Hey, come on. Great selection, great people, great times, great sticks. Come on.
Yeah. All right. What do you got going? How was your weekend, Casey? I was stuck in a nightclub all weekend.
The weekend was. It was long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was long because I want to say Thursday. I got here early. I think I was here. I got here like 2 on Thursday because I was helping my mom with some stuff. So I just opened early because I was like, I'm in town. I'm not driving back.
Hold that thought for 1 second. So real quick, because you've never been here before,
For
taste them, rank them, give them points between 50 and 100. If it's below 50, just don't give it a number because it's embarrassing for everyone the whiskey.
ooh,
And then if you want to guess at the end, you can. I usually do. Casey sometimes does. And then we average them out and see who wins.
you mean guess who is who?
Which whiskey is
Which whiskey is which? Yeah. See if you can name the bottle. Name that bottle. The game that we play.
Oh, and then we have a bonus whiskey when we're done with these.
Yes.
Because I opened up that new Frey Ranch
Oh,
Uncut.
come on, the Frey Ranch is amazing.
Well, that Uncut's we tasted.
I
it
haven't
when you
had
weren't
that.
here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I saw you guys
we
sneak
cheated.
that on me.
We
I absolutely
tried it
saw that.
while you were away.
That was pretty good.
No, I was here when you guys tried it.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Were you?
yeah.
All right.
Are you sure?
No. That was the Nassif Family Reserve.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the one that Casey had a couple of different things to say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. It's not bad.
I mean,
That's why it's now in my bag.
we're
to
with
leave
family here.
It's-
You know, some of us fellas like to say this is a safe space.
This is a safe space. Safe for me to come over there and bust you in the mouth. bust you to the white come out.
Oh, this is a white meat show.
I already like it.
We're
What did
kicking
you,
with the brothers.
yeah, no, you've got to look good on this because I'm sure your boys are going to watch this.
Oh my gosh,
That's right,
all
that's
you
right.
have to say.
Everyone-
What's up,
everyone's
fellas?
gonna-
What's
yeah,
happening,
shout out to the
Kings? You
homies.
know, I can't. You know, I'm not the guy that goes individually everybody because the list is way too long. What's up, fellas? Wish you were here.
We haven't seen him in a while.
Right. You know, but they haven't seen me in a while, right?
Really? Oh, yeah.
It is
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
like, I only see them when you're up.
It's always a good weekend when you bring the whole crew. He's got thoughts.
Well, no, because I will see,
That is good.
A? Yeah, I immediately like A.
Wow.
really? Is A the winner?
I don't know. I haven't had B or C, but I immediately like A.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Let's see what's going
Oh,
on.
wait,
with A.
let's see the Casey high proof tasting face.
All right, we've had some of these before.
And if you have notes on them, look, you're getting cinnamon, you're getting nutmeg, you're getting vanilla, butterscotch. Call it out because people might actually care.
All right.
They're like, all I was watching this for was the whiskey.
I just came for the booze.
Yeah.
I just came for the hooch. Don't care about the rest of that shit.
I got some cinnamon in that A right there. I got some
All of these are good.
vanilla.
Casey needed some warm up whiskey.
Oh, I should have drank some Weller. Yeah, that's for sure. Ooh. Oh. Okay.
And there's no bite. It just kind of falls down
No,
your
it's
throat.
just-
It
it's
just kind of
just-
drops down your throat like.
It's just up on the nose there.
Yeah. None of these should be disappointing.
That's pretty good though.
That is absolutely excellent right
I'm-
there.
I'm
Fellas, you
hoping-
would, whatever this is, before I make a guess, you guys would love this. I mean, pair it with, wow.
Are you still on A?
Yeah, I'm still on A. I'm going to work my way down the line. Do we say which one is our favorite, or how do we do this?
Yeah, so we're going to pick a favorite, but you're also going to give it a score, right? So, like,
Why you guys bring me for the hard shit? I'm sorry. Could I say that?
Yeah.
Oh God
Oh,
damn.
Hey,
We're not monetized yet, so you can drop whatever bad language you want.
Fuck.
yeah, you can shout in the woods. Yeah, you can shout in the woods too. So it's fine.
Excellent
God, these are-
cigar for this. Matter of fact, it just.
I really like this cigar. It's one of the cheaper cigars in our humidor too. I mean, it's nothing in there is cheap, but it's not gonna.
I did give James a Nakatamale.
Oh, what do you think of the
Nah.
Nakatamale? Yeah.
I got him good because he went Slaughterhouse,
Yeah, he walked me up.
Right.
He put me up this step like a cliff. It was like a cliffhanger.
and then I gave him the knuckle sandwich.
It was so fast X at the end. Like, is this a freaking cliffhanger? He just got me on. What the hell is this?
Oh yeah, now he's hooked on the Fast and Furious because of cliffhanger.
I do like the knuckle sandwich though. The slaughterhouse I probably won't smoke again.
But the knuckle sandwich is good.
That's 100% going to be our bachelor party cigars. Like I need 20 cigars, like just average. You know, I only want to spend this much. Here you go. So these, I was hoping there would be a standout. I'm not sure there is.
Oh, so they're all the same.
These are all some of my favorites.
Well, the rare breed you should be able to pot because that's kind of your baby.
The rare breed, yeah, but I haven't been drinking it lately. Because I've been buying and tasting whiskey and picking up for this. I have way too much open whiskey already.
No
and
such
we're
thing.
at episode 20, and I've got like 40 bottles open at the house.
No such thing. It's too
Jeez,
much.
God
Yeah.
dang,
And we've got another 20 open back there.
it's amazing.
Well, don't tell people how much we have.
Yeah, yeah. Keep that to us.
Yeah, come on,
Listen,
man.
if they were kind enough to actually watch this and they walk through those doors, they can have some whiskey,
All right, that's fair. If you mention the podcast, I will pour you a glass of bourbon.
right?
Yeah,
No,
that's
you
fair.
can't just say that the podcast. You got to say the code word, like what's the name of the
what's
podcast.
good?
If you walk in and say, "Do you guys? Is this the torch or something like
The
this?"
Daily Torch, but that's not
Oh,
going to work
oh.
either because we're putting it on the door
True.
next to the logo.
Actually,
We're redoing the logos.
Yeah, the password is I'm a torchbearer.
Ooh, that's dope. I'm a torchbearer. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you just walk up as you're getting your cigar. I'm a torchbearer.
I
And,
think
hey,
the new shop is going to be in the state capitol, right?
absolutely.
And he wants to use a different name, which is fine. The owner of the casino wants like some contextual branding. So we're texting back and forth with some names today, and I have a name. So there's two spaces that I'm taking over. One's going to be a bar, and for the bar I'm going to do craft beer and wine and probably some charcuterie, and there's a little pizza oven. And I'm thinking about calling it Senate and Vine because the state Senate's right there.
That's dope.
And so he's like, I really like that. Can we do something with the cigar shop? And I gave him some names. Like, this is what I'm thinking. What about this? What about this? And he goes, what about the Capital Social Club? I'm like, all right, like Capital Social, I can buy it. He goes, but if we have members, like they get lockers and stuff, he goes, they can be part of the Senators Club. Like, all right, I'll play. It's his casino. I'm just leasing. I mean, he's nice enough to lease me the space.
So it was Capital
Social Club. That's what he came up with.
Social Club, not Socialist Club.
I mean,
'cause
if you're thinking all those official names, I mean, you can just expand on that particular thought process and say the House of Cigar Representatives. I mean, what the hell? You start getting into all kind of different territory. Don't get me wrong, I like the social club thing, but it's the social.
It's his thing, and it's Carson
Oh,
City.
it's his thing. Okay.
I mean, it's my thing, but it's in his casino,
Oh, it's his thing.
and it's like, yeah, it's his thing. But we're only like 2 blocks from the state capitol, like the Assembly
Yeah.
and the Senate. So it's contextual. It makes sense, and I don't want to argue with him too much. Like, the name doesn't matter all that much to me.
Right.
I mean,
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Somebody
pretty-
said, "What's in the name?"
was probably Casey.
Really? Really? Actually, you know why state capitals are where they are?
Why?
I was curious about this one day. It's one of those like Google things, right? State capitals are located in the centermost area of every state, so that it was easy
out.
for everyone in the state to get there.
As of when? Because that's a lie.
As of the Wild West days, like the 1800s.
No, because San Jose has been the capital of California a couple times.
Well, it was centrally located.
So was I think maybe Alameda. I don't know. Random cities have been the capital of California.
California doesn't count.
And there's nothing accessible about Virginia City, which was in fact the capital of Nevada.
Yeah, but they moved it to Carson City because it is centrally located.
So what?
That's just what it said when I looked it up.
Geographically, population based.
Yeah, geographically, like easiest way for people to travel from every part of the state to get to the center.
All 8 people from North Nevada coming to Carson City.
Yeah, that's because I was like, okay, you think about it, right? Like Carson City, why isn't it just Reno?
Because at the time, I can actually answer this.
Oh.
At the time, Reno and Vegas were damn near the same size. So when I was a kid, and we moved up here.
Right.
Reno had like 225,000 people, and Vegas only had like 275.
Oh, wow.
So they were pretty much the same size. And
Right.
since then, Vegas has blown up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, Vegas wasn't going to let Reno be the capital, and Reno wasn't going to let Vegas be the capital, and Elko was shit out of luck regardless.
Elko is not worth a damn.
Elko is cursed by the devil.
Yeah. You know they have 2 high schools now?
Have you seen the plague of
No.
the Mormon crickets up there?
Oh, I believe it.
Oh my God. Like the road moves because there's so many crickets.
Oh, damn. That sounds terrible.
Like apparently because of the weather we had, it offset the cricket mating season. So they've had like 10 times the swarms of Mormon crickets they normally have. I
terrible.
mean, like, and they smell like rotting flesh.
This
So the
is just
entire town of Elko smells like rotting flesh, and it's just covered in these gigantic Mormon cricket things. It's like the plague, the apocalypse. So if you're in Nevada, stay away from Elko.
Right now,
matter
C
what.
is the most robust flavor out of everything. It's just bursting with flavor.
What
It's
kind of flavor?
just- I can't even. It's just so much more robust. It's just.
Ooh, you know what? C smells familiar.
I don't know if it's because I drank them in that order.
So here's what I recommend.
My
When
taste.
when you find the 2 that you think are the best, side by side them. Take the other one out and go back and forth.
you didn't say this was going to be hard.
I know. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still just drinking bourbon.
Kids, at the end of the day, you will be tested on this. Okay.
There's a test at the end for sure.
I've already scored mine, and I think I think I know which one is rare breed at the very least.
See, this is what's not fair, James.
And
This
it's in
guy-
it's in last place, which sucks.
And we and this guy, you know, this
Yeah,
guy
this
is
guy.
a genius with this
Yeah,
stuff.
what was it last episode? You didn't even have to drink them. You were just like, bam, 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 bam.
It was
Shooting from
the
the hip
color
over there.
was really obvious. I
Yeah.
mean, one was damn near clear.
That could have been anything.
No, it couldn't have. It was the young Scotch.
Speaking of this, when you're drinking with the guy that goes, I just buy them by how the color of how they look. Oh, somebody heard about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the color of it.
color-
just
how-
lets me
the
know
color and the
that
recommendation
this
from
is
someone?
an amazing bourbon.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Legitimately, all of the bourbon I bought in my life is because Lane says you should buy this. And I go, okay. And he's like, or you should buy it for the shop. And then I go, okay, what's it called? If I went to a bourbon store right now, I would have to call you and be like, what should I get?
Do you know how long I spend on the bourbon aisle at a big liquor store? I'll, by the time I'm done, I'll have had 3 or 4 people from the store walk up and say, "Can we help you?" I'm like, no, it's fine. And they're like, "Well, do you know what you're looking for?" I'm like, not yet.
He's
I'm waiting for something to jump out at me.
Right.
He's like, I know more in this aisle than you'll ever know. Go away.
I mean, that's not entirely true. There's a lot of people out there that know more about bourbon than I do.
Yeah, but do you think they actually work at Total Wine?
There's actually one guy there
Oh.
who's really talented.
Really?
Yeah, we talk about the allocated stuff and what they're getting in and what they aren't getting in. And now that the shop has the Grand Reserve
now
status,
that we're on the list.
we're
now-
in the lottery.
Yeah, so now you're even more friends with that guy.
So when like the Weller Full Proof, or they never did get Jack 12, which I told them was going to happen, and they're like, no, we have the biggest allocation in the state. I'm like, you're not getting it.
Yeah, I get it.
I know
damn.
your distributor.
Ooh.
He was like, what? I'm like, they didn't order enough. It's already gone. He's like, are you fucking serious? I'm like, yeah, it's already gone.
Sorry, buddy.
Shit.
He was pissed. I came in. He's like, man, you were right. I'm like, I'm sorry. That's shitty.
It's terrible. By the way, you know, September 22nd, the San Francisco Whiskey Festival is there. international tasting. All the whiskeys supposedly are supposed to be there. It's just
I'll come
food for
down.
thought.
I'll come down.
Absolutely.
I still want to try and get to listen. If the club thing, if I end up opening these businesses, and the club thing goes foul, I want to go down to the trade show, the commercial trade show for cigars,
I mean, I can call
and
Mike.
see if they have any tickets left.
I mean,
I'd kind of like you to, if I'm being honest.
I can call Mike and ask, and see if I mean I don't.
Unless you want to go and you want me to
I
be in
don't.
the shop.
I don't think it's.
That's got to be
I don't think it's sponsored necessarily. Like this might be one we have to register for ahead of time.
okay.
Because
Well-
the other one is easy because Mike can sponsor it and then give us codes and hotel rooms and stuff. But I don't know if because this isn't one that he calls and talks to me about. So,
Find out. I mean,
but I can ask.
Find out what the deal
I'll make
is.
some phone calls tomorrow.
listen, Mike owes us for a number of things.
This is fair. We are definitely one of the higher P&K accounts.
Yeah. Also, he goes on vacation and we get completely
We
effed
got
off.
shafted from his vacation.
Damn.
Turns out there are key employees
Yeah.
at businesses, and Mike is one of them at our distributor.
Terrible.
We didn't.
Yeah.
When he got back, I don't even think our order had been put in, much less packaged or shipped out.
You got to get
No.
his vacation schedule. Say you're going on
It-
vacation. Can we get our?
It went through the computer,
Yeah.
and then for some reason the computer decided not to do anything.
That's even worse.
And so then the guy I called, who is what I imagine the human equivalent of a sloth,
Oh, you told me this conversation
because
took like 30 to
his
40
conversation was like very slow, and the guy was friendly, but it was just really slow. Oh yeah, let me take a look at that for you. Terrible.
minutes. So in these whiskeys, the Larceny barrel proof. Larceny is a wheated whiskey. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to identify it, when you get to that point, if you've already scored them, like try and be objective with a score. There's gonna be like a hint of a wheatgrass note.
Wheatgrass.
Yeah, like not like green grass, but like hayfield almost.
Oh, okay. Like, hey.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay then. I think I know which one that one is.
It's fair. I thought that might help some.
That's helpful.
These are all really good, though. I hate ranking. Like, I hate there to be a loser in this category. These are all really good. James doubted me. He's like, what's really good whiskey? Like, yeah.
Damn.
Well, then he was drinking that High West earlier. So
yeah, the High West.
That's good, too.
That's absolutely amazing.
That rum finish impressed me. That's the
Oh,
first.
I love the rum finish.
That's the first rum finish whiskey I've ever had.
I'm a rum guy too. I like
Yeah.
rum, so that's
that's definitely why you like the High West too. 'Cause
yeah.
it's got
I can gravitate toward that very easily.
yeah, that was good.
So for wheat,
All right. I got my rank. I got my scores.
I mean, I don't know if I can go less than 50 on any of these. These are.
50 means that you should pour the bottle out.
Yeah. Listen,
You mean drink it out or?
all of my scores are above 85.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, it's a tough crowd here.
And then when you've got an empty cairn, let me know and I'll go grab that fray.
I mean, why can't you say which one is the most highest alcohol content or something like
That's
that?
too easy.
Is it?
It's too easy.
Well, because two of them are going to be really close.
The one that
Right.
one that burns the most.
Right.
Casey, what do you think? How are these treating you?
I'm doing okay.
All right. You're suffering through it.
Little, I can definitely tell they're higher proof, for sure.
All right. I'm going to kill off this one. Oh, it's so good. So good.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, you can't go back there. Oh, it's okay. It's over there. I was like, you can't go in the back because you'll cheat.
Do you have an empty glen? Not yet.
Not yet.
All right.
Not yet. Okay.
You can see it on my camera. Oh, you
Okay.
can't.
What
It's not
what
in
are
focus.
what are the choices again?
Larceny barrel proof. The series number is A123, which doesn't matter. They do 3 a year.
Okay.
So A is January, 23 is the year. So it was January of this year. Old Forester single barrel, which is just released randomly whenever your store gets their single barrel. Although they tend to do them in batches, so you'll see like 3 stores get them at once. And then rare breed, which is wild turkeys, higher proof. I think it's non-chill filtered.
So we're supposed to tell you which one it is, right?
You don't have to. I'm more interested in the scores.
I'll give it a try.
Okay. Typically, here I'll give you some. Typically, more cinnamon is going to be, like cinnamon and sort of medicinal cherry is going to be like the wild turkey stuff. Not as much cherry as there used to be in wild turkey. The Old Forester. This is the only Old Forester single barrel I've ever had, but bigger, richer, a lot of spice, but not necessarily jumping at cinnamon. Like a lot of varied spice because it's a little bit higher rye, I think. Mm-hmm. And then the larceny is the wheater, so it's going to have a little bit of that hay wheatgrass note, probably like on the back of your palate, like mid palate. It's going to be a little understated because the proof is higher.
Okay.
Okay, I think I got mine.
Okay. Do you guys have scores?
Yep, I got scores.
Give me your scores, Casey.
So I scored A at 72,
Okay.
B at 75,
Okay.
and C at 71.
Okay. What about you, James? You ready?
Yes.
Give me some numbers.
Got A at 75.
Okay.
And B?
I've got B. It depends on what I'm looking for because it got that nice cut, but it has a great flavor.
Just go with your gut, man. Just go with your
Go
gut.
with your gut.
Yeah, for the scores,
yeah,
just
go
go
with
for
your
your
gut.
experience, like what you think it is for your palate.
If you had to ride that ride again.
I honestly, like, when they try and do the objective thing, they're like, well, for the, like, you know, I really like this, but I think it's lacking here and here, so it's this number. I don't care about that. Like, I'm watching people because I've identified your palate as decent. Mm-hmm. So just tell me what you think of it. That's what I think everybody should do. So that's what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah.
Got
How does James feel
B
about this?
at 78.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. See, B a little higher. What about C?
C right now is my front runner, so I would put it
Oh.
at 80.
All right. And I scored a 92. That's my leader in the clubhouse.
Okay.
I know
an-
why.
B an 86 and C a 90.
Wow. So see, B was my highest.
Yeah. You want me to average that? Casey, you want to go first with the guesses?
So okay, yeah. I'll guess.
Okay.
All right. I think A is the Old Forester.
Okay.
I think B is the rare breed,
Okay.
and I think C is the larceny.
All right. Do you disagree with that at all, James?
I do not disagree with that at all because I in my heart, I'm like, C has to be the larceny.
So my guesses are exactly the same as those.
Really?
Yes.
Weird.
Oh snap!
Casey, you want to go step into the back while I add these up?
So I will magically disappear to the back.
Uh-oh. And behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz.
Oh my God, we have a dead tie.
I'm the whiz. Thank you very much.
The Wiz. Move on down. Keep on.
God,
the
it's
road.
close. The scores 239, 239, 241.
Oh.
Are we backward?
What did we fuck up, Casey?
This is going to be very interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like we
A?
shouldn't be doing this ever, apparently.
A
Yeah.
larceny.
Really?
What?
B Old Forester.
Okay, we got that one right.
Oh my
And
God.
C rare breed.
You know what that means?
What?
Rare breed's the winner.
Rare breed in the house. Rare breed.
Look at
By-
that.
by-
By a point.
By 2 points in the
Wow,
total.
2
so
points.
by 0.7 points.
Oh. Just barely.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was actually a tie between A and B.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
239 each.
See that? That's
That's amazing.
79.6. God, these are all so good though.
This is a very
this.
close
This might be
match.
the hardest hardest flight we've done.
80.3 for rare breed.
The rare breed is so smooth. I would even give it to my girl to have a sip because it's so smooth. It's not doesn't have that bite or anything per se compared to the other one.
This is the problem. Oh God, that's so good. This is the problem with doing this. Like, this is my fourth cigar.
Look, I stopped
'Cause this is
smoking
my
because
smoking day.
they're so good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But you just blow out your palate.
Yeah. Some days we do it right, then some days we're just.
We're like, what are we doing?
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Guessing.
So rare breed's the winner.
Rare breed.
Wait, do you guys want to try this Frey Ranch though?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'd love to have some more of the Free Ranch.
Can I use your lighter, please?
What?
Thank you. Appreciate you.
That was a good lighter I gave to you.
All right, I'm gonna
not
need an
cooperating.
empty Glen for everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect. That's good. That's for me. That's a good size. Bottoms up. Bottoms up.
So this is the new. It was released 2 days ago. The farm strength uncut of their 4-grain bourbon, which is their standard bourbon, but they usually proof it down to 90. So this is straight out of the barrel, and this is, for anyone that doesn't know, just down the road from us. So this is like an hour down the road, hour and a half down the road. I've met the guys. They actually smoke at Fumari in Reno, at
Wow.
the lounge in Reno. What
Okay.
his son does. Really good people, and they're doing it right. So for a long time, I was like, hold on. For a long time, because I didn't like their bourbon for a long time. I thought it was too young, but I wanted to because they're doing it right. They do everything in house. Like, it's basically from the field to the bottle.
Wow.
Right? They're not doing their own bottles or anything, but they grow all their own grains. They're malting their own barley. It's all in house. So they're doing what everyone wishes bourbon companies would do.
Right.
And then I started getting some of the barrel picks. I like the barrel picks. I haven't had their straight bourbon recently, but as soon as I saw this was getting released, I bought a bottle. I'm like, yep, we're doing that. But yeah.
Yeah, because that first bottle we had wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
And you were like, it needs 2 years.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it does. I think it did.
Yeah.
But these are all closer to 5, 6. I don't know about this, but the barrel picks are all 5, 6, 7 years now.
Oh, so they already have those 2 extra years on them.
The barrel picks do,
Oh,
but they don't have
perfect.
enough to blend a full 90 proof batch. But they might now with this.
I'm curious how that.
Well, you can really pick up the winter wheat.
Absolutely.
That's sort of higher sour note.
What's the dude's name? The Vegas Nights guy. I'm curious how his deal's going to be once they start brewing down there.
North Nevada's starting to get known for their bourbon, huh? What's going on with you guys up here?
Yeah, they're working.
Don't tell the East Coast.
It's like secretly the distilleries are just popping up and putting out some good shit, man.
This
Quietly.
Yeah. Well, they're just doing it right. And then Smoke Wagon, he's pseudo sourcing from MGP. All his early stuff was sourced from MGP. Now he's still getting stuff from MGP, which is the distillery in Indiana, the old Seagram's distillery. But it's contract, so it's not the. I don't believe it's the MGP mash bill. I think it's his mash bill, distilled, like fermented and distilled to his standards, aged to his standards. It just happens to be done in the bigger facility. What do you think of that, Casey? I get a lot more caramel in this.
Absolutely.
Now that I've had the other ones,
Yeah.
that caramel really sticks out.
Oh, it's
Right?
standing up. It's jumping
Like,
around. That's what
yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Like now I
had
really
we not
wish.
drank that, where would we be at right now? You know?
I really wish now I had a slice of apple pie.
This is really good though.
I would almost use that as a syrup.
Oh my
gosh.
god, just
Yeah.
reduce it down.
Yeah.
Add a bunch of sugar.
A little sugar and then
Yeah.
reduce it down. Make a nice little adult syrup.
Have you ever had bourbon syrup pancakes?
You ever had bourbon steak.
I've had bourbon steak for sure.
Absolutely.
But-
that's what I'm thinking about as a brother on the grill.
Yeah.
Give me some of this.
I haven't had bourbon pancakes, but that sounds delicious.
Well, it's just the syrup. You make a bourbon syrup, and you put it on pancakes, a bunch of butter. It's incredible.
Oh man,
It's incredible.
that sounds delicious.
Yeah, all right.
Now I'm getting hungry.
So I wanted to talk. We're serious for a second, right?
Okay, very serious.
So you saw China is in negotiations with Cuba for a listening post, right? Which is probably just a leverage play because we've neglected that poor little country for 70 years now.
Yeah.
Neglect is a hard word. Really, we've just pretended like it doesn't exist.
We just said
We've
fuck
done
you,
worse
literally.
than neglect it. We've put our thumb on it and we're like, nope, stay there.
Well, now to be fair to all of the to be fair to the people who have been illegally smuggling toothpaste, toilet paper, Advil, realistically, we've been keeping that country afloat
That's how I get my Cubans.
for
It is. The guy that gives me my Cubans, that's what he does.
yeah, humanitarian aid equals Cubans. If those for those of you that ever want to ask, okay, that's how you get Cubans. Okay,
Yes.
I'll tell you right now.
Oh,
you,
absolutely.
you take a speedboat. Okay. First you stop off at the CVS and the local Walgreens, and you stock up on generic brands of goods and services like toilet paper and toothpaste and paint and kills, and you put them on a speedboat. You take said speedboat out past the Keys, and then accidentally find yourself in Havana in case the Coast Guard asks. You go, I don't know how we got here. GPS is messed up. Offload said pharmaceuticals and good stuff. Then you take Cuban boxes and you bring them back.
But this is indicative of the problem, right? The fact that we can trade sundries, literally sundries,
Yeah.
stuff that we can walk down the street and buy from the gas station,
Easy. Yeah.
for something that sells in other countries. If you're talking about the new Cohiba, for $300 a stick, is absurd.
Absolutely ludicrous.
And we're not talking about some random, tiny European country. We're talking about a country that's 90 miles from our border.
Yeah.
We have more responsibility to Cuba than any other country in the world. And we literally put our boot on their throat and we're like, be poor.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Because it could have been
It
like
was
Puerto
called
Rico.
it was called American interest. Okay, they do that all over the world, right?
No,
No.
I,
But
No,
the whole
it was-
embargo
it was-
game. I mean, if you bring in Cuba, if you bring in Cuba, and we have this conversation about Cuba, then we have to talk about what is it called, Venezuela and their oil.
No. Listen, you're not entirely wrong. However,
No.
I would say with Cuba, it's a bit different because we have it's close enough that they can sail on a desk that they turned into a boat.
Literally a desk. He's
Yeah.
not joking.
Yeah. To call them rafts would be
Generous.
generous.
Generous. Overly jealous. Overly generous.
And we were there. We sent them the mafia. They did their thing. They're doing what they were going to do with Vegas, right? They were going to build extravagant casinos. It would be amazing.
Yeah,
And
isn't
then-
it The Godfather 2, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that?
it's Godfather 2.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that's more or less, I mean, listen, obviously very dramatized, but
But that was where we
indicative
were.
of what was happening.
Yeah, that's where we were.
The gifts of golden telephones and whatever. Real things. And then
Practically
Castro
overnight.
takes over,
Yeah, practically overnight, right?
literally overnight.
Yeah.
And then we do some stuff, and he's kind of stupid, and we take offense, and we do some stupid things,
Very stupid.
and then we throw a 70-year tantrum.
All right, look. They were fine, okay? Until they said, yeah, we'll store those missiles for you, Russia, no problem.
But all we had to do to get out of that, listen, all they've ever needed was cash.
We
what-
throw money around.
We
What-
could have paid them off real easy.
For what we put into Ukraine, we could pull the entire country of Cuba out of poverty.
The whole Caribbean. but
Right.
That's a whole nother subject.
Well, so, I mean, but Castro's dead, right?
Yeah.
So do they still have, is communism still the prevalent society?
I think so.
So it still is a
And
communist
I think it's
country.
still remnants of the Castro government, but what do we care? Even if they're
mean-
communists, what are they going to do to us at this point?
Well, but at this
Walmart
point-
is full of communist shit at the end of the day.
True.
It
No.
comes from China, right?
100%.
True.
And what we're talking about, when the USSR was a thing,
Yeah.
before the end of the Cold War, when the spread of communism was a real national interest, not for the, we're capitalists and they're communists, but because we're capitalists and they're communists, and they also have a huge army and nuclear weapons, and they can control most of Europe if it goes bad, we need to deal with this on a national level, right? But we bought the rest of the country into global trade, and we just left Cuba, again, 90 miles from our border, to just wither away and die in poverty. Because we're obstinate, what are we doing? And this is,
I mean, that's a good point. I mean,
if I was Dave Chappelle, I would say this is selective outrage.
for me,
No, for the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, selective outrage. We're just going to be mad at you.
it really is.
We're
but
not going to fuck with you. Matter of fact, we're going to tell our friends not to fuck with you. And if anybody gets found out fucking with you, they might have some consequences.
Well, this is the thing,
Embargo.
though. Like, so there are other, like, it's in the middle of the Caribbean, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Right. So it's surrounded by.
Water?
Well, no, but is it Dominican Republic and Haiti are on one island?
They're like a couple of 100 miles away or 100 miles away, something.
But
That
then-
whole region.
Then you have the rest of like Mexico, right? The Mexican Peninsula and all those other countries
In the Gulf, yeah.
from the Gulf that
Yeah.
are they relatively the same distance that we are, or are they just a little further?
They're kind of further. I mean, if you think off the coast of Florida, you got Cuba, Bahamas, Haiti, all that stuff.
And
You know,
where-
the
and-
people that are catching supposed rafts.
Yeah. Well, where's Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico's in the same region.
Same region.
And
Matter
they're
of
all-
fact, I was in Puerto Rico and I caught a 45-minute flight biplane. It couldn't have, if it was a jet, it might have been 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was a biplane from, from St. Martin to Puerto Rico. And they say you can catch a Puerto Rican flight to Cuba. That's about an hour and a half, hour.
Okay.
I mean, it's all really
So
close.
that's the region.
But I mean, so Cuba's super broke, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fantastically.
So,
broke.
but why haven't they worked with the Mexican countries to get stuff?
Well, Mexico is a friend of the United States, and so they're part of the
Yeah,
embargo.
but not that friendly.
But, you know, I mean, they might trade a little bit, but they can't trade the good stuff, the big stuff, you know what I'm saying? But Mexico's starting to come into their own right now, too, which is kind of weird.
Now Mexico has some of the most competitive mid-level tech labor anywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the labor prices in China, everyone thinks China is cheap labor, and it is for a lot of things, but labor prices for tech have gone up like 15 times in China. Aside from their other problems, which are many, I mean, just their basic demography is a problem. Right now, if you were investing in infrastructure, it's semiconductors and tech assembly in Mexico and energy production in Canada, if you're in this country.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of true.
Okay.
I have a real good friend, right? Matter of fact, he was on the video today that you saw, and he's a procurement buyer. He does aluminum, right? And so he goes all over the world, he flies all over the world buying aluminum, and they were sourcing aluminum out of China. But he said because China prices are coming up so much, they're starting to source out of Mexico.
Yeah.
And he was, just mentioning, just aluminum as one of the things that the world is coming to get aluminum from. It's just real interesting conversation, as he says, how he flies to different places and purchases commodities. He's for the things that his companies build. It's
Yeah.
interesting, but
It's a shame we have all those things going on in Russia because apparently it was real cheap to get aluminum from them.
yeah, that's a whole. And again, we can't buy from Russia, right?
Well, I think, for whatever it's worth, I think what we're doing in Ukraine isn't about Ukraine winning. It's about bankrupting Russia.
And protecting Poland, right?
Not even that. I honestly think we want to bankrupt Russia's resources so that we have some ability to go in there and rebuild the infrastructure that we need. Because as much as they're a problem, they're generally more reliable in those things than we think China is going to be in the near future.
Okay.
Well, I also heard that Ukraine had like one of the largest lithium deposits in the world, other than, of course, like Africa or something like that. And
Yeah.
they wanted to knock Russia out the game because I think they want to somehow claim or get a portion of that lithium deposit in there. And they're throwing money, so something's going to be owed to somebody somewhere.
I believe it, but they might not be on the back end of that for the green energy. I mean, for the train, we're already trying to move away from lithium to things like sodium.
You would think, yeah. But how many years are we out from that, really? I mean, it's technology. They might be ready, but, it's normal people on the ground. you
Even
know?
for lithium, we're screwed. I mean, we need something like 20 times the amount of lithium production in mining for the goals that we've set in 2030. We need something like 20 times the amount of lithium that we're producing now globally. We have never, anywhere in the globe, in our history, doubled a major mining element in a decade, and we need to go 20x in 15 years, 12 years.
So let's have a damn war and fuck everything up so we can get the lithium that we know that we're going to need. That's our 50-year, 100-year plan. If they're thinking 100-year plans, you know, they got to make their claims somewhere.
I think we have to diversify all of it, right? I don't think natural gas is going to be out of the picture. I don't think gas is going to be out of the picture. I don't think petroleum's out of the picture.
No.
I mean, it's going to be minimized, but I don't think it's out of the picture.
Yeah.
Nah.
I don't think lithium's the whole deal. I don't think wind and solar are the whole deal. And as much as I think Oliver Stone is a complete kook, I don't think nuclear is out of the picture. I think all these things need to be used in the right places. Well, this is the thing, right? So Germany and California have basically the same green energy distribution for population.
Absolutely.
Except Germany's green energy is a third less productive than California's. Because California's on a coast, they have endless amounts of wind, and we have 310 days a year of sunshine. Germany has neither of those things.
Nah.
So, like, this, if you put solar panels in Connecticut, you actually increase the carbon debt of the energy supply because they don't get enough sun.
Crazy.
So let's
Yeah.
do things that make sense and put things where it's going to be productive.
Well, yeah, like in Nevada, right? Like Nevada should, when you build something,
You can kind of see them on the camera.
Oh, yeah. No,
like
I saw him right there.
you should, like, solar panels should just be included,
Yeah.
right? Because it's the desert, it's sunny.
Especially everything south of where we're at.
Yeah, like from
And-
us down.
100% of everything south of Tonopah.
Yeah, exactly. If you're building it, it comes with solar panels,
Yeah.
and that would just make so much sense.
I mean, we're regular people here, but the people making all the money, how excited do you think they are about that?
Oh, not terribly. But I mean, this is
Depends on who you're talking about.
what is it?
There's common sense
I'm gonna
and
get
then
this
there's
wrong. It's
capital sense.
it's-
capitalism sense,
Is
right?
it trumpeter? Creative destruction? Is how markets reorganize economically?
Oh man.
Oh, you're in a whole nother conversation now. You mean unless
So,
they're
you
not
know how long it's been
artificially
since I've been an
inflated?
econ man. Man.
But I mean, this is
I think it is trumpeter though.
if we're leaving it to a financial discussion, like to free market discussion, it never happens cleanly. Like businesses are going to fail, other businesses are going to succeed. But in this country where you can buy political sway with money,
Yes.
it makes the process that much slower and that much worse.
Well, in the old school thought process where they taught us that, bad businesses fail and the next new business that comes up takes over,
Yeah.
right? That's how they taught us in school or high school, middle school, wherever you went. But as of recent, there's a new thing that was never taught us called too big to fail,
yeah.
right? And so it's like, okay, but we weren't taught that. Like in my region, right, Silicon Valley Bank. I know this isn't part of our discussion.
No,
but,
bring it in,
You
man.
know,
That's what we do.
and Silicon Valley Bank, hey, they closed the doors. The motherfucker should have failed.
Oh yeah.
Well, they did.
And the
Okay,
people
but-
we saved
yeah, I mean,
really did deserve to be saved.
They really
in
didn't
large.
deserve to be saved. And then there was another bank, First Republic Bank.
Yeah.
I'm an IT guy. So
There's
I know
a third one too, right?
There was I forgot what the name of that one was, but I know a lot of guys that work there.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how the executives got their bonuses and stuff, and of course the bank failed, and it's just a real interesting situation. And then the government came in and made everything right with everybody. But we were taught that they should have just failed, the door should have closed, and that's the market adjustment for everything, right? It's supposed to happen.
We were taught that those businesses should fail before today. In this country today,
Come on.
the top 10% of businesses make more money leveraging their capital and moving around finance than they do off their actual products. And once that becomes the case, you have problems. Because their valuation no longer exists on what they're offering to the basic economy as we understand it. Their entire valuation exists on what they can offer to other businesses for opportunity. And they choose to place that opportunity in things that serve their business model.
it's just gross.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that we're going to have to deal with because eventually they will cause serious problems.
I was like, there's I don't know who the guy is, but he's like it's like a clip. I see it every now and then on Instagram.
Okay.
And he's talking about money, right? and he's like a business guy or something, and he's like, oh, I don't. He's like, I just go to a bank, and he's like, I don't just get a loan, but I just tell the bank like, oh, I need $100 million for whatever. He's like, if I need a new car, I'm just gonna go to the bank and be like, oh, just give me the $100 million, and I'll buy it off what I'm getting from the bank, and then I'm just gonna go put this into something else. And I'm like, that sounds like the most shadiest shit I've ever heard. And then you look at these guys and you go, oh, these guys are running the top 10% of those companies, doing the same shady shit, borrowing money here, putting money there, doing shit like that. And you're just like, that's
Well, they're doing
That's
look
gross.
on a very large scale. You remember the story that your buddy was telling us about his friend and how he pays his taxes?
yes.
Where he's got the money for he doesn't pay any taxes all year. He puts it aside.
It's in a
And
high yield.
It's the tune of about $50,000 a year.
Yes.
And then at the end of the year, he asks for a 12-month payment plan. So then he takes that $50,000 he already has, pays it off in increments over the 12 months, leverages the rest of it, and then eventually when the IRS tells him he can't be on a payment plan anymore, he's just going to pay it. But he does this for years on end, right? So he's just continually leveraging his capital. This is what businesses are doing, but they're doing it with hundreds of billions of dollars.
That's crazy. They're floating.
Yeah.
It's floating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're leveraging capital rather than producing goods and services because it's more valuable to their business model.
It's amazing. Capitalism, right? Capitalism gone wild or capitalism out of control? What do we call it?
But at some point, it becomes completely disconnected from from a, 80 to 90% of the population, right? They're no longer offering goods and services to those 80 or 90%. So they get left out in the cold, which is a real thing that we're going to have to deal with. This country's in this. I don't want to sound like a kook, but this country's been an incredibly safe place for 150 years at this point, right? But almost every major civilization in history fell through some version of class warfare. So why would you walk that particular path? Why would you create a widening gap between classes when the gap with all the wealth represents a couple 100,000 people and the rest of the population represents 330 or 340 million? This is why I laugh. This is funny because Biden keeps coming out and saying, he's like, well, if you want to take on this government, you're going to need some F-15s. First, what makes you think the guys that fly those F-15s that make $62,000 a year are going to be on your side?
Yeah. First of all,
Wow.
some of those dudes are patriots.
Absolutely. I mean, there's those of us that read the Constitution and everything, and like, we believe in it, we read it, we understand it, we live that shit every single day. And then there's capitalism out of control. It's naked capitalism now, though. It's the weirdest kind of thing because you can see it. You can see that, like you mentioned, that top 100,000 people or whatever, the elite of the elite, they don't give no damns, right? And they just do it. And I'm a military vet, and I'm like, damn, I was fighting wars for people that, for American interests was just really corporate interest, right?
Funny story.
Go for it.
This country's revolution,
Oh, shit.
the only revolution in recorded history, every country ever that wrote it down, to be started by the top 10%.
Crazy.
Well, and you know what I love is that that quote in the Declaration of Independence.
Which one?
It's the one from National Treasure.
You're going to have to give it to
you
me.
remember-
gotta give
you
it to
remember the
us.
one from National
I've
Treasure?
been drinking. You got to give it to us.
Okay.
I'm enjoying these beverages.
I pulled it. It's actually my favorite part, I think, of the Declaration of Independence, right? And it's but when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute I can't say that
Spit
word.
it out, guy.
Despotism.
Despotism.
That's the
Despotism.
larceny right there.
Yes, that's the larceny for sure. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guard for their future security. The Declaration of Independence says, if you fuck with us enough, we have the right to fuck you over and make sure that we're protected in the future. We quite literally put it in the founding documents of this country. If you think that we aren't going to arm ourselves and come at you, you best believe
Yeah.
we've got the paperwork to prove it.
I would say this. Capitalism is the most efficient means of economic production, but it absolutely cannot be your moral center.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think there is any morality in capitalism.
There's not.
What? No, but it's become its own religion. It's its own morality.
That's okay. That's fair.
What do you think the ends justify the means is?
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
It's its own thing.
That's-
We celebrate capitalism, right?
Yep.
It's like in the 80s and 90s they'd show concerts of, they'd show like Michael Jackson concerts.
Right.
Or like Madonna concerts.
Absolutely.
And the entire crowd, what they're doing is worship. That's what it is. But we have taken,
Well, I never thought about that.
yeah.
That's a trip actually.
But what we do now, especially in the last 20 to 30 years, we worship capitalism.
20,
And
30 years, yeah.
That-
I think we need to
Yeah.
respect capitalism because it works incredibly well to grow wealth, to grow production, to advance societies, but it can't be your moral center. You have to keep it in place. It must be regulated.
Well, that's a monster of a conversation. It's that encompasses so many different things. I mean, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, that goes back to once money got into politics, corporations got into politics,
Yeah.
and so they can sway the people that we elect to do what the corporations want to do. You can get into the pharmaceutical conversation, the medical conversation, the medicine conversation.
Yeah.
You can get in all of that. And
Still waiting for those sponsorship jackets.
And I still think we had this on a podcast. We talked about this.
Yeah.
On like our 5th or 6th episode, we talked about Citizens United.
Yep.
I
Which
didn't want to say it, but you said it.
here's the thing, is that I've forever just assumed it was one of the worst decisions ever. And I think the results of it are undeniably terrible. But I don't think the answer is to overturn Citizens United. I think the answer is for us to be smarter and to find ourselves better.
Would you say that, or somebody would need moral compasses in the political side to say, no, that's not right. That's not what would be good for the people that I represent.
No, I
Well-
think we need a harder working electorate.
The
And
problem is we had that guy. He was just a buffoon.
I think we need a harder working electorate. I think we need a group of people in this country, and by a group of people I mean the political majority, regardless of what side they're on, to spend actual time evaluating actual candidates, following money, finding out who sponsors them, what they support and why, and making truly informed decisions. Because I don't think the answer is stopping anybody, whether it's a corporation or a person or a group of people in a nonprofit or an NGO, from talking. I don't think dialogue is the problem. I think we just need to better evaluate the source and be able to have a real conversation.
Oh, that sounds like something our government used to do with regulations that used to keep everything in check. That goes back to the, remember back then when the Trade Commission used to say, no, you can't merge because it's not good for the people, or not good that you guys merge because there's no competition.
Yeah.
Remember there used to be a thing in capitalism, the old capitalism, that
No, there-
multiple companies is good because it causes, they get different offers and whatnot. And
Our monopoly laws at this point are such a farce.
Right.
Europe's are a farce, and they're at least one order of magnitude, probably two, more strict than ours, and theirs are a farce, which means ours are a complete joke. Like our monopoly laws are wearing clown shoes right now.
oh my gosh, it's absolutely
Because the monopoly thing,
atrocious.
right? But the one, like, you don't hear about, like, pharmaceutical companies buying other like, you don't hear about that stuff, right?
No,
yes.
The one that you hear in the news right now, which to me is absolutely ridiculous.
golf.
No, it's even more ridiculous than that. It's that the FCC has a problem with Microsoft buying Activision.
Yeah. No, and you know why you don't hear about pharmaceutical mergers?
Because they pay to keep them on the news.
Largest lobby in the country.
Yeah.
Oh, back to the original subject.
Yep.
huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, like back to wait 1 second. Back to your conversation. If there was a commission or something to do that, what commission would that be? Who would have the balls to actually go to that, and would they actually let that go through the entire process to find, to get to the parties or whomever are representatives and hold them accountable?
But I think a lot of that is the people of this country not understanding what the real issues are. Right?
Yeah.
You can't expect a politician to have brass. you have to force it upon them. And the only way to force it upon them is if their base takes them to task over their failures.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing
But
with
right
you.
now, and listen, it's not a comment on whether or not the decisions were important, but right now we're focused on things like Dobbs and abortion. And that's a real thing, and that's a real conversation. But it's not going to matter if 70% of the country can't feed itself.
It's weird because when they do stuff like that, a lot of different commentary would say they'll do something like that, so everybody be looking at that, and at the same time, something else is happening in the background.
It's a magic trick.
It's sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah.
It's Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up. Have you seen what's going on in France right now?
Oh, with all the union strikes?
Everything,
Yeah.
the whole country just going buck wild, just because they're trying to hold people accountable, as
Look, and
like what you're saying.
I'm
But they
not-
keep that out the news here. You gotta
Oh,
go.
yeah.
You gotta go off the beaten path to see this.
I'm not necessarily a union guy, but this country needs more unions because they represent a political voice for large groups of people with independent interests. These are real things, but the at the very core is that our country needs to be smarter. And I don't mean that in some higher education, you should have gone to college. I mean that in if there's materials, you should read them. You should pay attention, right? Like or not, what the Federalist Papers had to say when we were creating this country, when we were building this country, and they were writing novels about what government should look like and why, and what the effects would be, and how long it would take, and what the end result of different voting rights would be. It was an effort. It was a real effort made by a lot of people that other people read and took seriously. And we don't take effort seriously. We take skill seriously. We take gifts seriously.
Yeah.
What we need to take seriously is effort. Because gifts will only get us so far. They'll never get us past the existing ceiling.
No.
So when you say gifts, what do you mean by that?
Like natural talent, or like I inherited a bunch of money, or I'm naturally good at baseball, or like the stuff that no one had to work for. We celebrate what people have inherently rather than celebrating the work that people get, like the work that people put in. Like it's a novel story on ESPN when they're like, this person came from nothing. But it's not predominantly what the stories are.
Right.
The story is predominantly about the guy, like the dude that just got drafted in the NBA, who's 7'5" and who moves like a gazelle.
Right.
All of those are large. Like, I don't doubt that he worked hard, but I don't know that he worked any harder than the guy that's 5'6". Now, this is also why I don't think sports should be taken this seriously. But this doesn't represent, like, that doesn't represent in mass. Because what we need in mass is large groups of people who aren't inherently gifted at any one thing working to produce what this country needs to be. Take those people out of the equation, leave it just to the people who inherited money or power or whatever, and you're going to end up with what you had 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, except it's going to be worse.
I don't disagree with you. It's large groups of people that manufacture stuff. Imagine that. Manufacturing going overseas. And, you know, I'm a chess player. So as a chess player, you take certain pieces off the board, you protect certain pieces, but you never let people know what your ultimate move is at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
You know, and when they were outsourcing, you know, offshoring, other word that they use for these type of terms of things, saying, hey, build this here, do this here, it's going to be cheaper over there. They were kind of pulling the rug up from under this base that you're speaking to. That's why we have the whole Midwest, or a lot of the Midwest, that's currently like, what the fuck are we supposed to do now, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
but
that and
I think the Midwest is going to come up, though.
If everything is cyclical.
Well, in the next 20 years or so, right? So, and this goes back to it goes back to just global trade. So, at the height of the Cold War, when we were supporting global trade, like when we were promoting globalization, we had something like 800 destroyers in our fleet policing
Come on,
the
yeah.
world oceans.
Absolutely.
We now have 70, 80, 70. I think it's 70.
70 with 10 that we could pull back out if we needed to.
Yeah. We're not supporting global trade. So, like it or not, we're not doing the global trade thing anymore. We're going to be looking for home shore, friend shore, near shore. That's what we're looking at, right? Or home shore, near shore, friend shore, depending on what order you think is more important. But when you're talking about population bases in places with cheap labor, like all of Texas, significant part of Oklahoma, Nebraska, Louisiana,
Oh yeah.
Kansas,
There's so much inexpensive workers that you can get in those regions. Absolutely.
but we also need to be prepared for them not to be inexpensive 10 years from now.
Yeah, see, that's the gung ho problem.
But we also got another problem that's quietly creeping up on us that you probably know about, but you haven't mentioned. China's slowly buying up a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, but I tend to buy into the and I don't buy into everything he says, but I tend to buy into the Peter Zion commentary on China.
Oh, in 10 years, they're basically going to self-destruct.
China's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
They have the worst demography in the world, and on top of the fact that they've lied about under the age of 40, they probably have 200 to 300 million less people than they say they do. So even before you take those people out, they're the fastest aging country in the history of the world. They're not going to be able to feed themselves. Without global trade, okay, let's put some of this on the table, right? Fastest aging country in the history of the world, probably lied about 200 to 300 million people under the age of 40.
Mm-hmm.
Largest importer of energy and food ever.
Absolutely.
So they were producing cheap goods with their population so that they could bring in these things to grow. What happens when they can't produce those goods anymore? Are they going to create some extremely high value added good that compensates for that, where they can still buy these things? Or are they going to go back to subsistence rice farming in the next 15 years?
You do know that they're opening back up the Silk Road again. You know if you heard of the Silk Road, and they're
Yep.
doing that train all the way through, I guess the old original Silk Road. That's going to be a train from China through Turkey, all the way down the high-speed train. You know, they got the best high-speed train technology.
But you're still talking about serious problems. So Peter,
I mean,
it's
I
funny.
understand what you're saying.
His first book was An Accidental Superpower. I think that was his first one. I did a second one. And he talks about some basic infrastructure costs, right? The cheapest way to move goods by water. It's about 1/10 of the cost of moving it by road.
Unless you got a high-speed train.
No, still expensive. Faster, but still expensive. And you still have to move it in mass.
Yeah.
What's the tonnage load on a high-speed train?
That's true.
Does it equal the number of barges that float with the current down the Mississippi?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
yeah.
he's got a great line. Like, this country is a global superpower, no, like, regardless of who's in charge. And then he goes, we've been trying to fuck that up for 50 years, and we haven't figured out how.
3,000 years. They were started way before us, so, you know.
No, but they're creating massive expense. And a lot of people would tell you that the Silk Road, that the what is that? The what's their project called? I always forget the
There's
name.
a name for the project, yeah.
Which project?
Is really just a money laundering scheme by the people in China with money to convert what they think is going to be useless China dollars into other currencies and then hiding it somewhere else.
The weird thing about, like, when you bring up the China conversation and you say there are multiple Chinese billionaires, multimillionaires, multi-billionaires, but at the end of the day, they all work for the state, and their billionaires just come up missing. You've heard about that as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
They come up building and missing, and then they come back, if they do come back, with the party way, you know.
Yeah.
So
Re-educated.
So
Yeah.
you may think you're dealing with one billionaire, but you're really dealing with the state. I mean, that's the thing about the communists. At the end of the day, they're allowed to have a business on the side, but it's really still the state that you're dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Well, and I think that's why they're trying to get their money out.
Oh, absolutely.
And convert something else. Because I don't think, look, money will buy you a certain amount. But
Yeah.
if China no longer has the means of production, if they no longer have the resources to produce enough to pull into their country, you're still going to have those Chinese billionaires, but they're going to be doing business elsewhere.
Oh, they're going to try to. I mean,
Well, if they get out,
if
they're going to
can get out, they quietly have to get out. They have to have a backdoor plan like Mission Impossible 3 or something.
But China has other real problems. Like we talk about the largest standing army in the world and their naval resources, but their navy can legitimately only project power about 600 miles.
Oh, absolutely. Interesting thing, the whole Taiwan thing, and that's right in their neighborhood. Their Taiwan is our Cuba. It should be our Cuba, right?
Yeah,
It
except
should be.
Yeah,
Yeah. Except for Taiwan is what Cuba could have been.
except we supported Taiwan.
Yeah.
and so
Right.
did Europe.
Right, but we could have supported, our local
Cuba,
people.
Cuba's a whole different. Like Cuba is just a tragedy.
But had we been nice and finessed them or massaged them, whatever term you want to use, throw money at them, which means massage them at the end of the day.
If all we did was open Cuba up to American tourism and American
Come
business,
on.
they'd be fine in 10 years.
Come on.
Like from today?
Yeah.
Oh,
From right
absolutely.
now.
From
5
next year
years.
to 2 years, 5 years from now, they'll be. And we're missing a whole nother conversation here. Look what China's doing with Africa, going in there building infrastructure, building roads.
But yet,
Opening
agreed.
ports.
They're making friends in China, but what happens
They're
if,
doing that for the same reason you're saying.
Well,
they
they're-
have to expand and find out, move to where the resources are.
Oh yeah, and it's the next step of people going into Africa and just raping them with their mills.
Again, well, they've been doing that for hundreds of
yeah.
years.
Oh no, exact hundreds of years.
It hasn't stopped.
I had one of
Since
my
Rome's, it hasn't stopped.
One of my law professors was from Nigeria, and he was amazing. He was fantastic. But he went through the Sahel of Africa and the mining tragedies and the AIDS epidemic and the problems that we've caused. But here's my questions: what happens? They develop all these resources in Africa, but then they don't have the resources to secure the trade and shipment of those resources. What happens? Africa sells to someone else.
At the end of the day, probably. But, again, China's doing naked capitalism in Africa. Naked capitalism. So they've got their corporations stood up, they're building stuff. And those corporations, that could be the methodology that those guys are using to move their money over there. Well, I've got to be over here to support my business. So supposedly they're out of.
Wait,
Yeah.
is Africa just Argentina for the Chinese?
Ooh. Yeah.
I mean,
If you're going to get resources
I mean, I don't
firsthand, you go
want,
to
I
Africa.
don't want necessarily make that
Listen,
comparison, but
Africa is loaded with natural
So watch
resources.
this. So
I think when you think of Africa in terms of mining,
yeah,
think of Nevada.
okay,
Just mines everywhere.
Yeah, just
Yes.
because there's just so much that we've
not
just gone down there and
regulated,
taken.
As
child
far,
labor, whatever you need, just
Well-
get some people in there, motherfuckers in there to do the work.
and as far as your lifetime is concerned, unlimited mineral resources.
True.
Exactly what Lane was saying that China needs.
Yeah, but they're not
But
going
they
to be able
can't
to get them to China.
Yeah, it's
and when they
getting
get
it
them
back.
to China, you still have to value add those resources. You're bringing them to China to do something with them, and if they don't have the labor to do it,
So that means they're going to have some people come in from somewhere else to do
But-
this
Well,
work.
from
China
Europe.
is buying entire industrial parks in Mexico right now, trying to figure out how to secure
I didn't even
production
hear that
outside
one.
of their own country.
I I didn't even hear that one.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Mexico's making a
they
big
have to buy
turnaround.
Mexico because Mexico is the next step.
Yeah.
Mexico is on the border of the United States.
Yeah, but how far does that get them? If we think that's a real threat, how far does that get them?
get
Look.
them for or towards what? Really?
It gets them close enough to saying it looks like Mexico needs some freedom, boys.
It gets them. Listen, there's a point if they make that move in earnest. There's a point where this country goes, that's enough.
Do you think? I think
Here-
I
here
think
comes
we've
the freedom
overstretched
train.
ourselves right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. We'll figure out a way to have a war. We're probably the most worn nation on earth ever.
Oh, there's no probably.
Yeah.
For the record, how many bases are in Texas?
right.
The-
Yeah, and around the world. But yeah,
I'm not going to quote me on this, but I think the second largest tank base is conveniently located in El Paso.
Colleen,
Yeah,
Fort Hood.
yeah.
I just don't
that
think,
one.
I don't think we're going to let them make a real move into Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
And even if we didn't do it through force, we have too much to offer Mexico to negate that. They're like, well, we've got this check from China. And we're like, but look over here at this much larger check.
Yeah, if we're throwing money and massaging people.
Or my 8 friends from the CIA who are now going to change the entire outlook of your country.
Well, CIA will go in there and take out a president or what have you that's not, thinking the American way.
Mexico's been dealing with political corruption on levels that we don't understand for most of their history. Like the 6-year tradition in Mexico is amazing. There's a house in the Keys that was built because of it.
Really?
Oh yeah, the Mexican president, one of the past Mexican presidents before he passed away, lived in the Keys. House is beautiful.
Wow, I didn't even
Because
know that.
so the 6-year tradition in Mexico is fantastic. So in the 6th year, the president just steals everything he can and then leaves the country
Wow.
because that's when their term's over. We're also talking about there's a point where when you were talking about like the PRI, they tracked the PRI and their top political rivals for like 2 years, and like 70% of them passed away through mysterious circumstances.
Wow.
Car fires, bombings,
Sounds-
hiking accidents.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, we're reaching back into like the 90s at that point, but Mexico's gone through some shit.
And they still are. But those cartels aren't getting any smaller.
No, but they are fracturing.
Yes.
Would you say cartels are too big to fail?
Oh my God, in Mexico.
Come on.
Well,
Imagine that.
listen, what our lobbyists are
Yeah,
to
come
the
on.
United States government, I think the cartels probably are to the Mexican government.
absolutely.
I could be wrong.
You know, I don't doubt you, but from where I'm sitting, that's got to be what if they can put that in their gross national product, their GDP.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would be phenomenal.
Listen, their largest financial lobby probably deals in illicit drugs and also carries fully automatic weapons.
All day.
I watched this documentary about that. Like, it's crazy. And it's crazy.
Lighter?
They recruit
Thank you, sir.
like crazy in American colleges. Like right across the border. They'll just go to American colleges because they know that college kids need money.
Yeah.
And they're young and dumb, and they'll do just about anything. And it was like stories of like, dudes in college who would just go and buy like tons of guns and just drive them across the border, like drive them into Mexico,
Yeah.
and then just
Well, this
deliver
was-
them somewhere. And then all of a sudden, you go back to your college dorm and there's a like envelope with 10 grand in it. And a little note says, "We'll call you later. We own you now."
Well, it was like the guy whose audio we lost,
Oh yeah,
the federal guy.
yeah.
And he flat out, he's a huge proponent of gun control, right? So he's already run a little bit afoul of me. Not in a bad way, but we had a discussion, and he goes, "Well, we can't control the flow of guns across the border, so we need to regulate them at home." And I go, "Oh, is that the answer?"
Oh, you're one of them.
You mean ass backwards? We
Yeah.
used to call that ass backwards in the military. But
Hey,
yeah.
again, there are a fair number of people in California and Arizona and Texas, and they have cocaine from Colombia and guns from China, and none of those people have passports.
Fair.
Just saying.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Regulate all you want. You ain't regulating that, so forget that.
how do you like this cigar, James?
This cigar is amazing, especially
Good,
with the
right?
beverages that we drink.
It was a good choice.
What do you guys think of the Fray?
Fray is absolutely amazing. I could
I
drink
can
that all
appreciate
day.
the
I can
Fray.
have that. That's absolutely has to be on my bar. I had the other one. I never had that one before.
So this one is 2 days old.
it's amazing.
They just released it. 3 days old. They released it on Friday. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm glad they're continuing to grow and not just doing what they were doing in the beginning. Because they were successful with their 4-year bourbon, but this is so much better. And their stuff's just getting better. Anyway, how long have we been doing this?
We're coming up on 118.
Okay.
Oh.
Anything you guys want to talk about? I started ranting about global
Hey,
politics.
dude, we can go with it. Whatever's clever.
It's
It's not a rant. It's like a real
it
thing.
makes sense. Because what we need is to be educated.
We don't even need smart people. We need people that are trying to know more.
Well, it's not just that, but it's like
In a dumbing
we
high
we,
schools.
we need
How does that
someone to help us weed out the bullshit.
But high school shouldn't be teaching you your political point of view.
I didn't mean it like that. I mean, there was a time in high school where they used to teach you government, how government works, structure of
They
government.
still do.
Civics.
Civics and econ.
Well, a lot of places they don't teach civics no more.
Really?
They really, really, literally don't teach
Well,
civics.
it's-
I used to have U.S. government, then I had world, and a bunch of other
world
stuff.
history, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They don't teach that.
They don't know. Well, California schools, I heard they don't teach that, and you know,
I did hear it.
it's
Put
moved to other stuff now.
that high school now is basically just to teach you how to be a worker
Yeah.
and nothing else.
I mean, I'm not going to badmouth vocations.
No, I have no problem.
Does
but
Nevada still have vocational?
But
Do they
like, I
teach
mean,
you,
like to show up on time and just do what you're told.
Yeah.
Like that worker, like that. Because like, you think about it. Like, when they teach you what? They teach you algebra, and they teach you, some science, and we're supposed to teach you civics and econ and history. But there's not one single class about taxes.
no.
I guess what
or-
I'm talking about, I'm not even talking about high school education, right? Think about it like this. Civics is valuable,
Yes.
Absolutely.
but if you're talking about the fundamentals of government, civics isn't really how it works. Civics is 101. Understanding how the Senate works
It's more
is-
important.
Like the next step.
No, is like Robert's Rules of Order. I need people, I don't care if you know Robert's Rules of Order backwards and forwards, but this country needs people to aspire to that level of understanding in whatever it is they're doing. When they're voting for someone, when they're looking for work, we can't stop at the first level of understanding. We have to at least broach the book of thorough and complete knowledge.
Or like strive for it, basically.
But see, I again don't disagree with you, but I believe the 101 leads to 102, leads to a fundamental better understanding. Because if we had that, out of the 340 or 30 million people that we have, 200,000 would vote or 250,000 would vote. But we're down to like, what, a third of us vote in this country?
Yeah, well, I think the last presidential election was what, 80 million?
Exactly.
82
really?
million?
People don't
I think
believe
so.
their vote is
It was that-
effective,
it was
or
that little?
or they're just
You-
the process is just daunting for a
That's-
lot of people.
That's not little. I think that's the most people that have ever voted in a presidential election.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
Well, and what I'm saying is,
Where are you going with it? Come on. Put it where there's a guy that says put it where the goats can get it, which is right in the grass, right there, where the goats can get it.
I think we have to move past this person's towing the party line, this person's voted for these issues, and we have to start delving deeper. We have to understand, at least in politics, that our politics is governed by money-making organizations. So we need to understand the links between politicians and those organizations, and why they're supporting, like why someone who's a Democrat votes against this, which is on the Republican platform. I think we need to understand these things, and it's not about like this.
I agree.
Sometimes it's about that person believes in this issue, right? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's that simple. I think most of the time it's this person is connected to this business. He went to high school with that person. He grew up with this family. He's lobbied by these people. He was seen at lunch 2 weeks ago with this guy. I think we need to understand the nuance of it. And this is the law school part of me coming out. But we need to understand that there are many, many levels, and that unless you understand all of the levels, you are lacking a serious piece of knowledge, which is crucial to how they're going to act in the future.
Again, that's why I like you. I don't disagree with you. The part that's still missing is that we have people that aren't connected to the process. We got people that whole toe to party line conversation is, hey, I don't have to know anything about it. My representative knows about it, so I'm going to vote what my representative tells me to vote.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
No, I do. And I think a lot of that is the way that representatives run for office now. They need to be forced into real conversations again.
Does it even make a difference? They're going to pretty much lie and do totally opposite anyway.
Well,
Yeah,
not if you
but it's-
force the real subject, right?
It's different when you're standing in front of them. And maybe not for everybody. But I don't think it's impossible for the average person to tell when someone standing in front of them is being disingenuous. It's really easy to be disingenuous on TV. It's really hard to be disingenuous standing in front of that person looking them in the eye.
True. Interesting.
It's deep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just think politics have become completely facetious.
In today's world?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
It's an arguing match. It's a shouting match. It's
Well, and it's so
Be obnoxious and it's cool.
Well, and this is what kills me about Trump, right?
Hmm.
I like there are some things he did some good things. He did a lot of bad things, but he did some good things. But you never knew he was doing the good things because it's, he's talking in hyperbole. Oh, it's beautiful. It was magnificent. Oh, this person's a child molester. That's why I don't back him. Like, let's not bully people. Let's bully the issues. If it's a terrible decision, let's bully the issue.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when those people come out and they're like, "Oh, Trump was just terrible," and it's like, do you hate the politics or do you hate the person? Because a lot of it was they just hated the person, and it's like, okay, we'll take the person out of it and look at the politics that he did. Some of them were really good.
Well,
You have to separate those two.
I agree, but we've also taken this person backs unions, so he's against this. Well, why is that bad?
Right.
Let's instead of just labeling people, let's define the labels.
And give me the pros and the minuses.
Here you go. You want that back?
This sucker. Thanks, Casey, for the broken
It was a
lighter.
good lighter when I handed it to Lane. But I want the pros and the minuses, right? So if someone's against unions, okay, well, what's that mean? Like, what's the pro of being against the union? But then I need someone else to be like, well, yeah, but unions are good for this, this, and this. So, right? Like, you need someone to give you both.
Well, and I think we all need to get past the idea that one side is good and one side is bad. Whatever side you're on, you can't just say the other side
absolutely.
is bad.
It is.
Everybody's good, everybody's bad. And depending on what issue is standing in front of them or what the context is, they could display either.
Yeah, it doesn't help, right? When it really is like this red versus blue.
No, well, I watched a clip from the Joe Rogan podcast, right? And Joe Rogan is usually very neutral and very open.
Joe Rogan's nice.
And he had a guy on his podcast who was talking about, in fact, it was Adam, what's his face, from Adam Ruins Everything, who generally speaking I can't stand. And he was
Adam Conover.
Yeah, and he was talking about something, there isn't really alpha and beta, which I do think is about the laziest description of people ever.
Yes.
There's two types of people in this world. There's
Alphas and betas. Yeah.
And Joe Rogan, because he's clearly a dominant personality and trains and has some genetic gifts, you could see him start to take offense and start to get defensive against what he was saying, right? Everybody has that mechanism. And it's not that it's bad. It's that all of a sudden you hit a personal chord and they're going to be defensive and more closed and less open to whatever you're talking about.
Right.
Right? We need to get past that. And seriously, Joe Rogan is generally speaking, one of the most open people to ideas ever.
Yeah.
And even he can get closed off if you put the right topic in front of him. And that's just another way of saying everybody, me, you, everybody can get closed off if you put the right topic in front of them. The challenge is opening them back up and still being able to have a genuine conversation.
Right.
That's back when conversation was important and we can agree to disagree or we were open to listening to something and saying, you know what? I can see some merit in what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to agree to disagree. I want to say, tell me why you believe that.
Yeah.
Let's find out what's right and what's wrong. And let's find out where I'm right and I'm wrong. And let's find the answer.
But what if there's no right and wrong? There's just a gray area in the middle.
Well, it's not that it's a gray area. There's always a social understanding, right?
Also, we're getting back to the social. When you say social, that means people, the social structure of everything, right?
It's not that it's right and wrong in some platonic sense of the word, right?
Right.
It's that for our society and our society's moral compass and chosen direction, there are things that won't work and there are things that will work, and there are costs to both. These are the costs. This is the benefit. This one has more cost, but the benefits are substantial enough that we should still try and make this work and not do this thing, because even though it's going to work, the costs are really high.
True. I can see that. Again,
Yeah.
we've got, again, when we get into the social conversation, we can say this is going to work in the long run.
Well,
But you also got to, there's something else that's forcing it not to happen. What could that be? Socially, there's a capitalistic pull for them not to do something. Like, let's say socially, okay, watch this. Let me change the conversation. It's the same conversation, but it's slightly different. I'm a little lit right now, but I'll try to pull this one off. Socially, medicine should be cheaper. Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes, we are proponents of social medicine.
I rant
Yeah.
about healthcare all the time.
Okay, so I'm going to try to bring it down. So if medicine should be cheaper, hypothetically, there should be mechanisms and means to make it cheaper, whether it's the government, whether it's whomever that goes to these corporations, these pharmaceutical companies and say, look, you know, in Europe, it costs this much. In Canada, it costs this much. Hell, in Mexico, it costs this much. Why are the people here in the United States paying, and I can't, it's not exact, well, let's say 10 times,
Sometimes 40 times.
Yeah, sometimes almost
40
100.
times what the medicine costs. Now, back to your conversation, socially, you know what, you're right. Our people should be paying less. We should actually get in there and do whatever we need to do to make prescription medication cheaper, or insulin for people that take insulin, stuff like that, right? But, and it's such an easy conversation. Why is it? Why can't it happen here in the United States?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons for that.
Of course. But socially, if we're talking socially, like you mentioned, it should be easy. What are the lot of reasons?
Well, so I think you've got problems with insurance and the way they negotiate prices. I think you've got problems with the agreements between pharmaceuticals and university, where they do all the R&D for the drugs.
Okay, but some of these drugs have been out for years and years and years.
Well, and listen, they're all money-making entities. They are profit-generating organizations.
Absolutely.
So if you've got there's a lot of, and I find huge flaws with this. Well, we need the best CEO we can get, and the best CEO we can get is $50 million a year plus a 5x bonus.
Could we also argue that the monopoly laws here are shit and a lot of the companies merge with other companies and therefore
no.
competition?
Buying out their competition, absolutely. But like, how about if you're going to use government or educational resources to create a pharmaceutical, you are limited to a certain escalator in the price of that pharmaceutical when it's released.
Imagine that. That would be amazing.
And
that's a good one.
I go back to the West Wing, right, for this one. Insurance companies are nothing more than the money laundering middleman standing between you and your doctor.
Yep. Hands down.
Listen, the way that our Constitution is written and the way this country works, I rant about how we should have socialized medicine. We're never going to get rid of private healthcare. So other people are like, well, what if I want to buy good healthcare? What about in Canada where they come here for services? Listen, if you've got $100 million in the bank, you're going to be able to buy whatever best doctor you can in perpetuity in this country. That's the way this country is built. But the idea that the bottom 50% can't afford healthcare and just have to be forced to wither and die in misery with chronic disease is fucking ridiculous.
How long can we do that before our population starts trickling down? The population, like Japan, for instance.
Well, we've already seen it. We're in a convenient position, and the immigration problem.
Oh yeah.
We are also an aging population. However, we have forever been able to support our population with immigration.
Absolutely.
But we need between 3.5 and 5 million new immigrants every year to support our labor force. And right now we're standing between 1.5 and 2 because it's become a political hot button. Because people don't understand the needs of the country.
True.
Yep.
Now, do I think that we should let anyone across the border? No. Do I think that we should only let people who can do math and science across the border? Also no. Do I think that we should support vocations and day laborers and mid-level jobs with immigration? 100%. We already have the best education system in the world. Why don't we focus on what we're lacking and assume that those people and the people that are already here are going to chase the top of the pyramid?
That's a lot of assuming. I mean, again, that goes back to. Go ahead.
It's an assumption based on human nature.
Yeah.
Listen, it's the strongest assumption you can make.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. It's like, how do we stop the ship and make the ship turn? This boat that's going across the ocean, and we need to stop because the iceberg is right there, and we're going to hit the iceberg if this ship doesn't stop.
It's kind of easy.
Or turn, or deviate a little bit.
It's kind of easy, but it's not.
It's,
Like,
some people.
The easy part is that you just have to like be able to look at someone and be like, we all live in this country. I don't care who you vote for. What I care is that you need to realize at some point we all have to live here together, and if you go down a certain path, you're going to hurt the other people that live next to you. You're hurting your neighbors.
Agreed.
You know.
But let's look at it like
I don't
this.
disagree.
Rather than it being one ship that has to be on the right course, or if it doesn't, it's going to sink. Let's look at it as a couple 100,000 ships. Some of them are going to be on the wrong course, but they're all going to be headed in the same direction, and generally at the same time if we're working together.
Oh.
And if one of those ships fails, there are other ships that can support it and take those people and bring them onto their crew and take them safely to wherever we're going.
No,
That's very favorable
that's
thought
heavy.
process. It's,
That's real heavy right there.
I mean, I like the way that sounds. So if we're saying ships, a union would be a ship,
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
right? That would be a ship, and that would be one of the ships that are going in the same direction that everything else is going. But people are weakening certain ships, so certain ships are leaking water, taking the strength from them.
And we're leaving them behind.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, honestly, people are afraid to just get on the boat.
But when you think about unions like this, right? Don't think about a union as that you have to be in the union.
Oh, no.
Think
no.
about a union as a mechanism for better training, better retirement, better health care.
Oh, absolutely. I'm there.
And you get down this certain road. Now, some of these things might fail, like the retirements, pension plans. There have been unions that lost their pension plans because bad things happen. But generally speaking, even if the union fails, you have a better trained, more secure workforce afterwards, and you can redevelop either another union or move them into jobs where they're already going to be more skilled than the average worker and in a better place.
That sounds good, Mr. Capone. Sounds real good.
That sounds excellent. That's an excellent thought process. But it's weird because I've had conversations with people and they're saying, James, don't you feel, I'm an IT, so, we have different conversations. They're like, don't you feel that they're trying to move us to third world country status by taking all these jobs and people are starting to get desperate. And so desperate people do desperate things. And so we've got a whole group of people, let's say, I don't know what the percentage of the country is that's not working and doesn't see an opportunity to do something, to work or better their lives. And then you got the people that are in unions, you got the people in corporate jobs, you got the people that own businesses and whatnot. And those are all ships, right? And then you got a demographic or a whole different chunk of people that they don't see a way out of their situation because of their schooling, because of their training, because of the opportunities that are in front of them. And they need to be helped as well because it gets kind of a little chaotic in our country, right?
Agreed.
It gets
Yeah.
a little chaotic. And how do you bring them into the conversation or put them on a ship that can go or they just, we're just going to leave you behind because that's just, if you don't, the strongest survive. There's a strongest survive conversation.
There is, but I would say this country, probably more than any other country in history, has commoditized opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
And until we get past that thing, we will be in the same boat. We have to look at opportunity as something that's available to everyone and not something that's available to the people who have the best resources. Like, the commodities need to be beyond the first step. Because if you have a hopeless population,
Come on.
you are walking into
Come on.
real problems.
Come on. Do you think there's a hopeless population right now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this country's always had hopeless populations. Go into Mississippi.
Oh, absolutely.
Do I think we need to do something about that? Yes. And this is probably where, like, some of the more leftist tendencies come out for me.
Okay.
But I mean,
Well, you
As
gotta have a
long
mix
as-
of everything.
as long as you're treating opportunity as something for people who already have something, you're leaving people behind. We need to get past the idea that we are fighting ourselves.
Yeah.
There was another conversation I was in with somebody, and they were mentioning how it was like a wrong conversation comparison, and how, and you slightly mentioned sports, and this guy that's 7'5" is gonna, everybody's Google-eyed about him, and he's gonna make millions and millions and millions, and therefore he's gonna be put up so everybody can watch him. It's like our new arenas for the gladiators, right? So the population can watch that and watch what they do and watch how they live and strive to get the stuff that they have and whatnot. And then you got the population that doesn't get it, but they can look and see what these other people are doing and say, damn, wow, look at that. And it's like, I almost don't even know where I was getting ready to go with this conversation. But I was getting ready to go somewhere. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
But what about this, right? Let's flip it on its head a little bit. Let's assume that the people with talent and skill are going to be fine.
Yes.
So why don't we celebrate the other people?
Oh, that's where I was going to go with it. Your other conversation. If they go back down and say, let's invest in our people so that they can, if for the next 20 years or whatever, strive to be the best that they can be because we're investing in our other people. And that's kind of leftist for me as well, but they're not going to do that. It's kind of weird. It's almost like they're embargoing a certain people or a certain people that, that are allowed to be left behind. Like whatever, you're just like, I go back to like, I went to San Francisco the other day. And I, just drove through there, and I just like, damn, all these homeless people, and it's apocalyptic, and people on drugs, and people with the mental conditions that are just walking around, and it's okay, because the people that live in the towers can look down at those people, and they don't really have to deal with them, because once they go in their door and turn on their 85-inch TV, and they look down at them, and they're just allowed to be left behind. They can die on the street or whatever. They'll come pick them up, and I know I'm changing it a little bit.
You're a little bit. How about this, right? And this is something that I've struggled with over the years, because you hear it a lot, and it's a noble thing, right? Everyone says, "I hope, I hope." You need to have hope. I hope this. I hope that. I think this country, in large, if I needed to have a 10-word answer, has replaced the verb help with hope.
Yes.
If all you do is hope, and you provide no effort, if you put yourself in no place to help the people you hope for, you're really just a noble shitbag.
And that's why they say it's the hope that kills you.
Ooh, I had never heard that one before. That's a
You
good
never
one.
heard that?
No, I never heard that one.
It's the hope that kills you.
Is there a way out from that ship?
There's got to be.
I
Listen,
mean-
no country has ever done, no society has ever done what we've done. If this is where we're stuck and this is the end of the country, whatever. Something else will come.
Our resume is nice.
Yeah, with our 276 years or whatever it is, we've done quite a lot.
Absolutely.
Back-to-back World War champions. I mean, that's pretty good,
There was a time when wars, strengthened the economy. Everybody got pulled into work, but a lot of that is automated now.
Normally, when Russia's the bad guy, we thrive, but Russia's not attacking us, so it doesn't really work this time.
We're doing what a lot of corporations that I've seen over the years do before they die, right? We spent hundreds of years wanting to create something, and we sought to create that thing, and we were largely successful. And then we turned to protecting it.
Well, part of it.
So we went off. We're not offensive no more. We're defensive now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're just protecting what we have.
Well, yeah, but we're doing it like it's like a stalemate almost, right? Because like the if we're protecting it, then the top 1% are just getting protected,
Right.
and the rest of us on the bottom are getting stuck, right? I mean,
No,
we're
it's
not
absolutely the
moving.
people with means that have the protections.
Yeah, it's the rest of us that are getting shafted.
I would agree.
Yeah.
But
And
even the
it
rest of
sucks.
us, but the other side of that coin, though, is that even the rest of us, even the poorest people in this country, all the way down, almost all the way down to the very bottom, still have a higher standard of living than almost all of Africa.
Shit. Almost all of the Caribbean too. Almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Almost
yeah.
all of Southeast Asia.
I mean, we have clean water
Supposedly.
for now. Yeah,
Clean-ish.
for now, cleanish water.
Yeah.
But on some level, the people at the bottom need to understand that they have tools.
Yeah.
On some level, the people at the top need to realize that the tools that people have at the bottom are not enough.
Right.
Right? They're going to have to meet in the middle. And if they can't, then this country eventually will fail.
Right. Because it's the people on the top that have to turn around.
This is what
And devote those resources.
This is what the middle class was for 60 years. Was the bottom and the top meeting in the middle, uncommoditizing opportunity, at least on some level,
Yeah.
and saying, build something. We'll give you something. We'll give you some of our means. You give us some of your effort, and we'll create something great. And we just gave up on that great thing. Now we're like, we have something great. We're going to keep it at the top. Whoever didn't get into the bottom, too bad. This is where we're at. We've stopped creating. We've stopped risking. We've stopped trying. Because talking, meetings aren't trying. You actually have to go down. You have to get your hands dirty. There has to be some sacrifice, probably on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, we really have stalemated,
I would agree.
right? Because from the time that, what is it? Is it the time that the Wright brothers took the flight to us landing on the moon? Like, the exponential growth that happened between that should have kept going,
Yeah.
right? So shouldn't we have, like, exponentially been further along than where we are? But
I mean-
now we've, like, we hit, like, 1989 and we just stopped.
When was Kitty Hawk? 1912?
Yeah.
That was something like
And
that.
we landed on the moon in the 60s?
63, I think.
early 60s.
50
63?
years.
Yeah, it
Middle
was like
60s.
a 50-year gap, and from those two time periods, and it like exponentially, we should have been so much further along now than we are. And like I said, we hit 1989 and we just stopped.
The 80s did kill us.
Politics kind of changed.
Well, but
yeah.
politics changed. But then look, we stopped. I mean, we stopped striving to do things, right? We took away the NASA budget.
Supposedly, there's money missing that's going somewhere.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Well, there's
'cause-
always money missing.
there's
It's
always-
going somewhere in the government.
yeah, because they're always buying $50,000 toilets and $20,000 hammers, and you wonder what do they
was
need that for?
A $400 ashtray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a
Yeah.
$600 like toothpick, and you're like, what?
Yeah, something's going on somewhere. Somebody's getting paid or something. I mean, or they're just stockpiling the money somewhere.
I mean, who knows? I think
Really, it's just we got afraid of.
there's something
Exploration.
more fundamental than some people are hoarding some money, right? Because
Yeah, of course,
that's
that's kind of facetious of me, but yeah.
No. But you're not wrong. I mean,
Right.
and that's bad. But I think there are worse things out there.
And watch this. We're saying all about this money being hoarded and everything, and we're talking about the same demographic of people that can't dream, that are on the streets, and all that money could just be pushed into getting them right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we've become offended. I think in this country, almost everyone is offended by the people below them, and they're angry at the people above them.
You're right. We're offended because it makes us uncomfortable when we go places and it's like, oh my gosh, all these homeless people and there's caravans.
Yeah. When I hear people talking about, I can't believe that they're letting these people camp on the streets, that they are letting those people. This is your country too. And it's not about what you have and what you've made. We all have some social responsibility. We just do. Otherwise, listen, all those people with that money, take all the money into the duffel bag you want, walk into the woods, not going to help you. Doesn't burn very well.
Does not burn very well.
It's heavy. It's hard to move.
When you lose all of the support in the infrastructure, all the people that do the plumbing, the people that take out the trash, when you lose those things, their quality of life goes downhill too.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
but you know what you do with those big duffel bags full of money. Here's an idea. It's crazy, I know, but you take them down to the local park, and you start handing out $10,000 to people. you can change a lot of lives.
Immediately.
Just handing out $10,000 stacks to people in the park. I mean,
Anyway,
and you're not going to miss it.
what are we talking? Wednesday we're not going to have any F1. Sunday we'll have F1.
Oh,
I will have used a coin.
so far from F1. and
Hopefully,
yet
I will have
so
separated
close.
by 100 to 120 points.
I mean,
Either police.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
just
If-
me in this
if-
last third of the cigarette?
No, mine's going out too.
Yeah,
And also,
it's-
I'm talking a lot. I'm
it's a
not
little hard to
smoking.
keep those going for some reason. No, I think if you use your coin. Now again, I'm torn. I want you to get points,
Oh, I did see an article.
but I also want many people to crash into Max Verstappen.
I know you do.
Okay, so realistically,
It's worse because I saw an article Helmut Marko actually came out and was like, well, Checo's seat might not be entirely secure.
Oh, yeah, no. Red Bull started to show their face.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Red Bull, not just because Max Verstappen looks like a douche, and I think he's an asshole. Okay,
But
like,
he kind of does, and
but
he kind of
he kind of does. Okay, I don't like their style.
No, that's
Like,
fair.
here's the thing: is they should be the funnest team on the grid
Yeah, they're Red
because they're Red Bull. Like every time they show up somewhere, they should have a goofy parade, like with Travis Pastrana and a bunch of long hairs on rice rockets, just doing heel clickers and whatever. Like they should be having fun, and they show up all of a sudden like they're the best team ever, and they're like a bunch of hard asses,
Yeah.
and it's disappointing because I like Checo.
It's even more disappointing because without Adrian Newey, they're nothing.
Oh yeah, if you took away Adrian Newey's car, like that he built for you, you're a shit team, and you've got a good Honda motor, and that Honda motor leaves in 2026. As to why Honda's still hanging around, I have no idea. But again, like they should be having fun, and you look at Max, and he's an ass every time.
Yeah.
Like he whines on the radio, and they don't have any fun.
I think
And
they
then
just
they-
got to be elite, aren't they? Just the elite of the elite now.
They are at this
Well,
point.
at this point now, they pretty much, unless someone crashes into them or their car shuts down, they are fundamentally going to win every race. It just doesn't matter at this point.
Anyway,
Like
so it comes
that's
back.
how it is. And again, they say that they're not about one driver. And yet every single person ever since Max Verstappen got in that car has said at one point or another you realize you are playing second fiddle to the kid.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how well you drive. You will always be second to Max.
Yeah. Unless all of a sudden you start magically out driving him.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you then start winning.
Yeah.
So if you can catch to Max and then pass Max,
I honestly think the worst thing that happened to Checo was winning those races early this year.
yes.
Because
'Cause he
now
can't
you see
drive.
the discrepancy between what the expectations became and where he is now, and
Yep.
and it's just that much faster
And
to throwing Danny Rick in that seat.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, oh, you can't drive the car. You're going to keep coming in sixth. You're going to keep coming in seventh. Well, guess what? Daniel Ricciardo's going to get in the car. Here's my thing. If Danny Rick gets in that car, he better start coming in first. He has got to come out like old school Danny Ricciardo and drive the piss off that thing. Like super late braking, super good speeds in the turns. Like he needs to be Danny Rick.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll have something. But again, I think Max Verstappen hurts them.
Yeah, I mean,
I really do.
I don't think the World Championships hurt them, but
No, the World Championship,
He does hurt the
Constructors
optic a little
Championship. It's just it's just I think it's the personification of their team.
yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah.
All right, James, I think we should get you out of here because our live studio audience seems to be not so live anymore.
She did.
Absolutely. Well, she's not throwing up, so.
Well, I appreciate you coming, man.
No, I
appreciate sitting in.
appreciate you guys having me here and enjoying this beverage. Great company. Anytime, man. I'm having a great time. Stick was great. Last third of it is a little hard to keep with, but maybe it's the conversation.
You gonna complain? You gonna complain about the stick?
No. I said maybe it's the conversation.
Just
'cause
come into my
we-
house and
We were having great conversation.
drink
I mean,
my booze, disrespect my dog, and then
No.
no,
Thank you,
it's
guys.
I think because I smoke 2 of those now.
Yeah.
And at the bottom part, for some reason, it just
They might still just be a little damp.
Yeah, it fights you a little bit. I don't know why. It's
A little
probably
bit.
that. Those packets, those Bovedas were really nice when they came in. So
Oh yeah, I
they
need
were
to- I need to steal one of
actually
those.
I might
humidified.
need to steal one
Yeah, feel
or
free.
two.
Yeah, take them.
Casey, you got anything in closing?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think let me see here. Like 1 camera, 2 camera.
Oh, we have all our
3
cameras.
camera. Hey, there's James. Look at him. He's faded.
I'm faded. I feel
Faded.
great.
All right.
Thanks,
He's
guys.
James. That's Casey. I'm Lane.
James.
Rare Breed wins again. Try this Frey Ranch. It's fantastic. This is the Daily Torch. You're ever in Tahoe, come see us.
Toodles.
We out.
We out.